Hey guys, I'm Saurav. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to answer the most asked question to any photographer on the planet. That is, what camera should I buy? Now, I'm not going to recommend you an exact camera. I mean, that's not possible for me. But I'm going to share things that you should consider while buying a camera. I will also recommend some options that I feel are good according to different user needs so that you can make a choice. I think this video will be very helpful for you people if you're looking to buy a new camera, or if you want to upgrade from an older camera, or if you want to understand cameras in general. So without wasting any time, let's get started. The first question that you have to ask yourself, and this is the most important part, is the purpose. Why you want to buy a camera? Whether you want to do photography or videography, or you want to do both. This is a very important question because there's certain cameras which are better for photography. There's certain cameras which are better for cinematography. Again, there are cameras which are good for both. Now, I shoot photos and videos both, so I will prefer a camera that can do both. Now, the question in your mind will be, Saurav, if a camera can do both, why choose a camera that is specialized for photography or for videography? Now, the thing is, if you're only concerned about photography and you get a camera that is specialized for photography, it will be better than the camera which is made for both purposes. So this is the reason why you need to understand first why are you buying a camera. Now, all the points that I will discuss in today's video is based on this question. So again, this is the most important question and you have to be clear before making a decision. Talking about photography, the thing you have to consider is what genre are you going to shoot more. Now, it's not that for every genre there is a different camera, and with a single camera you cannot do multiple genres. But depending on your prime genre, the genre you will shoot most, again the camera decisions will differ. Like for example, if you are into wildlife and sports, you want a camera with a very fast autofocus. You want a camera that can do 10, 12, 14 or more FPS. You want a camera that has a good buffer. Many cameras nowadays has 10-12 FPS, but the buffer feels really quick. So you have to wait for some time again for the buffer to clean up and then again start taking photos. So these are the things you have to consider when you're in wildlife and sports. But at the same time, if you're shooting landscape, portraits, street, architecture, you mostly won't bother about the high FPS. As a landscape photographer, I don't need 14 FPS. What I need is extremely good low light performance, very good dynamic range, and if possible, I will get a camera with a higher megapixel count if I want to print it large or crop more. Now just remember, higher megapixels do not mean a better camera. So while buying a camera, it is very important to understand the genre you want to shoot. Like for example, Sony makes A7R Mark IV and A9. Now both are similarly priced cameras, but the A7R Mark IV has a higher megapixel count, whereas the A9 is a much faster camera in terms of focus and taking photos. So people who are into sports and wildlife will prefer A9. People who are into landscapes and portraits will prefer the A7R Mark IV. Similar is the case with Nikon D500 and D850. Again, all cameras are good, but it depends on your needs. So this was about photography. Talking about videography, there are mainly two types of users. One are the vloggers who need a very compact camera. One are cinematographers who don't care much about the compactness as much as they do of the quality of the video that's coming out of the camera. So if you're a vlogger, here are some options that you can consider. But when it comes to cinematography, you have to take a lot of things into consideration. Whether a camera can shoot 4K, or if the camera can shoot slow motion, if the camera can shoot log video as well. These are certain things which matters to the cinematographers. But these things don't matter to vloggers. So according to the type of user you are, you have to decide what camera you have to get. The third category is both photos and videos, and that's the category I fall in. I used to only shoot photos, but after starting my YouTube channel, I also started shooting a lot of videos. I have a Nikon D750 with me, and that is amazing for photos even today. But I upgraded to Nikon Z6 just because the video is so much better. In terms of photos, it's very similar to the Nikon D750, but I wanted that extra video features, and that's why I upgraded. Again, if you're upgrading from an older camera, you should have a definite reason, and then it will be easier for you to make a decision. The next topic we are going to discuss is crop sensor or full frame cameras. Now this is a general myth. Just because full frame cameras are more expensive, full frame cameras are better than crop sensor cameras. That's not the case. Let me explain. So the basic difference between the crop sensor and the full frame is the sensor size. The full frame camera has a larger sensor than the crop sensor camera. And again, a bigger sensor has its pros and cons as well. The advantage is you get a lot better low light performance. If you're shooting at ISO 3200, 6400 a lot, full frame camera is going to deliver better results in terms of a crop sensor camera. The crop sensor camera will give you much more noise. But if you're into sports and wildlife, as I was talking before, the crop sensor is a much better option because when you attach a lens, because of the crop factor, you get a longer focal length. I have a 70-200 2.8, but when I attach it to a crop sensor, it eventually became a 300 2.8 at the longer end. I didn't have to spend any extra money just because I was using a crop sensor. So again, it depends on what type of user you are. And again, a very important thing, the budget. Full frame cameras are much more expensive than the crop sensor cameras. And again, when you buy a body, you're going to buy lenses as well. Full frame lenses are again much expensive than crop sensor lenses. You can attach the full frame lenses to the crop sensor, but you cannot attach a crop sensor lens to a full frame. If you do that, the full frame camera will act like a crop sensor camera and you will lose a lot of resolution and it will make no sense. So again, you have to decide what is your budget and what type of photography you're going to do and then make a decision. The next point we are discussing is DSLR or mirrorless. Now this is a very trending question nowadays. And to answer this question, again you have to take certain things into consideration. If you ask me why I shifted to mirrorless cameras, that is because mirrorless cameras have better video features, and second, I love the eye autofocus that the mirrorless cameras have. One thing I love about the mirrorless cameras is when you see in the viewfinder, all the changes you make reflects in the viewfinder, and this does not happen in DSLRs. So these are certain reasons why I upgraded to a mirrorless camera. Now to answer your question, what you should buy, you have to see what type of lenses are available for the camera you're buying. Because still, mirrorless cameras have not matched DSLR in terms of number of lenses. Nikon and Canon have limited number of lenses, whereas Sony has wide number of lenses when it comes to mirrorless cameras. So when you're buying a camera, whether to get a DSLR or a mirrorless depends also a lot on the lenses you're going to get with it. Personally, if you ask me, mirrorless cameras are much more updated than the older DSLRs. So if you want an updated camera with all the cool features, then mirrorless cameras are the way to go. The next thing we're going to discuss is brands. Now people often ask me sort of which brand is the best. Canon, Sony, Nikon, Panasonic, Lumix, there are a lot of brands, and the answer to that question is all the brands. All the brands are equally good, and that is the reason why they are competing in the market. The reason why people choose a particular brand over other brands, there are two reasons. One is certain brands make good cameras for certain type of users. Two, you are using a particular brand and you have become habituated to it, and that is why when you upgrade, you also look for the same brand. Now throughout this video, I have suggested a lot of cameras belonging to different brands, and I use Nikon. That doesn't mean Nikon is the best brand. Even Canon makes amazing cameras. Even Sony makes amazing cameras. The reason I use Nikon is I like the colors coming out of the raw file. I have become habituated with the Nikon system and I find it easier to use just because I'm using it for so long. But that doesn't mean other brands are not as good. You have to do your research and see what brands make what types of cameras. As I said, the points we have discussed in this video, you have to take those into consideration. Maybe for you, a Canon camera is good. Maybe for me, a Nikon camera is better. Maybe for a third person, a Sony camera is better. If someone says, no, just because I am using brand A is the best, that is not true. All brands are equally good. It all depends upon your personal opinion. So I can't recommend a particular brand to you as such. The last topic we are talking is the budget. Now, whatever budget you have, don't spend the whole money to buy just the camera body if it's the first time you're buying a camera. You have to split the budget for your camera and also for your lens. At least spend 30% of the budget for the lenses and 70% for the camera. The reason why I'm saying this is doesn't matter how good a camera you're using. If you don't attach good quality lenses to it, you're not going to get the best quality the camera can produce. Even if you're using a mid-level camera and you attach a very expensive lens, you will immediately see a quality difference. So don't spend the whole money on your camera body and just use a poor quality lens with it. Both things are again very important. I hope this video was helpful and you understood what things you have to consider while buying a camera. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them. If you like the video, press the like button. If you're new to the channel, press subscribe button for more such content. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.